5 years ago, I uploaded part 1 of this project and promised that there would be a part 2. Well, that part 2 ended up taking 5 years to make. If you've been waiting all this time, thank you. I sincerely appreciate your patience. And if this is your first time watching this project, welcome. Don't worry if you haven't seen part 1 yet. I'll give you enough context to understand the story, and if you want to see the entire repaint process in detail, I highly recommend watching it after this video. In fact, knowing how this story ends, you'll probably notice warning signs that even I failed to appreciate back then. So let me take you back to where all of this began. Back in 2021, I owned a 2001 Kia Carnival, whose original black paint had already seen better days. The clear coat was peeling, the finish had faded badly, and every time I looked at the car, I felt it deserved a second chance. Naturally, the first thing I did was visit several automotive paint shops. Their quotations ranged from 60 to 80,000 pesos for a full-body repaint. Now, if this had been a newer vehicle, I probably wouldn't have hesitated, but this was already a 20-year-old family car. Spending that much on paint simply didn't make financial sense to me, so I started looking for alternatives. Eventually, a neighbor referred me to a freelance automotive painter, whom I'll continue calling Roger, just as I did in part 1. He quoted me 30,000 pesos for the entire project, labor and materials included. Now here's something I want to point out because I think it's an important lesson. Looking back today, it's very easy to conclude that choosing the cheaper option was my biggest mistake. Personally, I don't think that's a fair conclusion. One thing I've learned from years of doing DIY projects is that price by itself tells you very little about quality. I've paid premium prices and received disappointing workmanship. I've also hired people who charge much less and delivered results beyond my expectations. So my decision wasn't simply about saving money, it was about whether I believed Roger could deliver the level of workmanship I was looking for. That's also why, in part 1, I asked him a question that probably sounded strange to some viewers. I asked whether he owned his own painting equipment. At first glance, that question doesn't seem very important, but to me, it was. Because if Roger had to borrow or rent his compressor every time he accepted a repaint project, then my schedule would depend on someone else's equipment being available. Owning his own tools suggested that this wasn't just an occasional sideline. It suggested that painting was his profession. That gave me confidence. At least, that's how I felt on day 0. Unfortunately, that confidence didn't last very long. By day 2, I was already starting to lose confidence in Roger. Notice that I didn't say, I had lost confidence in the paint job. At that point, there wasn't enough progress yet to judge the quality of the finish. Instead, I was beginning to lose confidence in how the project was being managed. Roger had already left the work site several times to attend to back jobs from other customers, leaving most of the day's work to his assistant, Ben. Now before I continue, let me be clear, this isn't a criticism of Ben. I actually thought Ben worked hard throughout the project. My concern was something else. As a customer, I couldn't help asking myself, if my car was Roger's current project, why wasn't it receiving Roger's full attention? Looking back today, I think that was the first turning point of the entire repaint. Not because anything had gone wrong yet, but because trust had started to erode. Once that happens, every small issue begins to look much bigger than it really is. At this point, some of you are probably asking the same question. If you were already losing confidence, why didn't you just stop the project? That's actually a very fair question. The answer is that by day 2, I had already crossed what I now call the point of no return. Half of the agreed payment had already been released. Roger had already purchased the materials. More importantly, my car had already been stripped down. Finding another painter willing to continue somebody else's unfinished work wasn't something I considered realistic. Even if I found one, there was a good chance that he'd insist on redoing everything from the beginning because he wouldn't want to guarantee somebody else's preparation work. If that happened, I would have spent even more money than if I had simply allowed Roger to finish. So at that point, my thinking changed. I stopped asking myself whether I had chosen the right painter. That decision had already been made. Instead, I focused on making sure we achieved the best possible outcome from that point forward. Looking back, I think that's another lesson worth sharing. In many DIY projects, and even in life, there comes a point where your best decision is no longer choosing the perfect option. It's making the best of the option you've already committed to. Unfortunately, Day 5 tested that decision in the worst possible way. As many of you probably remember from part 1, The fresh paint reacted with residual paint stripper that had been trapped beneath several panels. The hood, the front fenders, the bumper. Several freshly painted sections had to be stripped all over again. When that happened, I honestly wondered whether this project would ever recover. To Roger's credit, however, he accepted responsibility for the affected panels and redid them without charging me anything extra. I think that's only fair to mention because this video isn't about attacking Roger. It's about honestly documenting my experience. From day 6 onwards, the project shifted from making progress to recovering from mistakes. Several more days were spent grinding away the affected paint, reapplying body filler to repair dents and deep grinder scratches, applying fresh primer to areas that were resanded after paint bubbles and pinholes appeared, repainting the damaged sections, refinishing the trims, restoring the spoiler, painting the hood scoop, repainting the mag wheels, buffing, correcting imperfections, and slowly bringing the entire project back together. There were no more major technical setbacks after that, although one thing never really changed. Roger would still disappear from time to attend to other customers, leaving Ben to continue working alone. Every time that happened, my confidence dropped just a little bit more. Eventually, Roger declared the repaint complete. Before he packed up his tools, I took my time inspecting the car one last time. Even then, there were already a few things that bothered me. I noticed several paint lumps on different areas of the body. They weren't glaring defects that you could spot from across the street. In fact, many people probably wouldn't have noticed them at all. But I did. I pointed them out to Roger. He assured me they were nothing to worry about. According to him, the paint still needed time to cure. He told me to wait about a week, then have the car washed, buffed, waxed, and polished. Once that was done, he believed those imperfections would disappear. At that point, I had a decision to make. I could insist that he correct everything before considering the project finished, or I could follow the advice of the person I had hired for his expertise. Despite the concerns I had accumulated throughout the project, I chose the latter. Not because my confidence had fully returned, honestly, it hadn't, but because I wanted to give the repaint a fair chance before passing judgment. So we shook hands. Roger packed up his tools, and that was the last time I ever saw him. About a week later, I followed his advice exactly. I brought the Carnival in for its first wash. Followed by buffing, waxing, and polishing. This is actually the last footage I ever recorded of the project, and I have to admit that from a distance, the car looked beautiful. The deep black paint reflected the surroundings remarkably well. Compared to how tired and weathered the Carnival looked before the repaint, the transformation was dramatic. If all you had was this footage, you'd probably conclude that the project was a success. To be honest, I wanted to believe that too, but I wasn't looking at the car the way a passerby would. I was looking at it the way an owner would. I found myself walking straight to the same areas that had concerned me during my final inspection. Unfortunately, the paint lumps were still there. I also started noticing tiny paint bubbles beginning to appear on the hood and doors. They were still very small, and unfortunately, I don't have close-up footage of them because at the time, I thought the project was already behind me. The camera captured the shine. It didn't capture my growing disappointment. And this is what the car looked like about 2 months after the project was completed. From a distance, this Carnival looked amazing. The deep black paint reflected beautifully, and if all you saw was this footage, you'd probably think the repaint was a complete success. But what the camera couldn't capture were the paint bubbles that had already started becoming more noticeable, especially on the hood. Unfortunately, I don't have close-up photos or videos of those defects. The only reason I took this footage was because I was already thinking of selling the car. I'll come back to that later. That's also why these shots look more like glamour shots than an inspection. At the time, I wasn't trying to document the paint job. I was simply capturing the car looking its best. Looking back, I really wish I had also recorded the imperfections because it would have made this follow-up much easier to show instead of simply describing. But regardless of whether I had a camera in my hand, I was living with the result every single day. And when you live with something every day, you begin noticing things that a 5-minute inspection would never reveal. That's when I realized that I had spent far more time evaluating the paint job than I had evaluating the person who would be doing it. Back in 2021, I believed I had done my homework before hiring Roger. He came recommended by someone I knew and trusted. He appeared experienced. He owned his own equipment. He spoke confidently. From everything I could observe at the time, I honestly believed I had made a sound decision. Looking back today, I realize I stopped my evaluation too early. I accepted my neighbor's recommendation without personally inspecting Roger's previous work. I never spoke with any of his other customers. I never asked how those paint jobs looked 1 or 2 years later. I never asked what it was like working with him throughout an entire project. Those are questions I'd never skip today, because here's what I've learned. By the time a paint job proves whether it can stand the test of time, the decision has already been made. The money has already been spent. The inconvenience has already been endured. And in many cases, there's very little you can do about it. So if I were hiring a contractor today, I wouldn't just evaluate the finished product. I'd evaluate the journey that previous customers went through. I'd want to inspect projects that have already aged. I'd want to talk to several former customers, not just one. I'd ask whether the contractor stayed committed from start to finish, whether problems were handled professionally, and perhaps the most important question of all, knowing everything they know today, would they hire that same person again? Looking back, those answers would have been far more valuable than any quotation, any sales pitch, or any promise made on day 0. Eventually, life moved on, and despite everything, I ended up driving the Carnival for almost 2 more years. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that the only reason I took those glamour shots was because I was already thinking of selling the Carnival. At the time, that decision had nothing to do with the repaint. In fact, I had already accepted the repaint for what it was. The real reason was much bigger than the paint job. It was the ever-increasing cost of owning a 20-year-old vehicle. Even then, I couldn't sell the Carnival right away. Despite my disappointment with the repaint, it was still serving our family's transportation needs. At that point, I simply couldn't let it go because I didn't have a suitable replacement yet. So I continued driving it. Over those next 2 years, the ownership costs just kept piling up. I bought this second-hand 2001 Kia Carnival on July 2, 2018 for 166,500 pesos. During the nearly 5 years I owned it, I spent another 361,000 on repairs, maintenance, upgrades, registration, repainting, accessories, and other ownership expenses. That's on top of what I originally paid for the vehicle, and it doesn't even include fuel. Think about that for a moment. I bought this Carnival for 166,500, but I spent 361,000 just to maintain, repair, and improve it. In other words, I spent more than twice the purchase price just keeping it on the road. When you add the purchase price back in, I had already invested over 527,000 into this Carnival before spending a single peso on fuel. At some point, I had to accept that continuing to pour even more money into it simply didn't make financial sense anymore. Looking back now, I think there's another reason why this part 2 took me 5 years to make, and it wasn't because I forgot about the project. The truth is, I simply wasn't proud of how it turned out. Every time I thought about making this follow-up, I found myself putting it off. I had invested so much time, so much money, and so much hope into this repaint, only to end up disappointed. Deep down, I think I just wanted to move on. But as the years passed, something changed. I stopped seeing this project as a failed repaint and started seeing it as one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned. That's when I realized maybe this story wasn't worth sharing because the repaint succeeded. Maybe it was worth sharing precisely because it didn't. Fortunately, about a month before selling it, I had already purchased a second-hand Kia Carnival to replace it. That meant I could finally let the Carnival go without affecting our family's transportation needs. So, on February 17, 2023, I finally sold the Carnival for 60,000 pesos. Some people might wonder why I sold it for that low, but by then, recovering my investment was no longer the goal. I simply wanted to stop the financial bleeding. Selling it honestly felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I no longer had to wonder what expensive repair would come next. But, at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I don't miss it. I miss the spacious cabin. I miss how much cargo it could carry. And despite all the frustrations, I don't regret buying it. Looking back, that Kia Carnival taught me lessons that no book, no online article, and no YouTube video could have taught me. It taught me about buying second-hand vehicles. It taught me about maintenance. It taught me about hiring contractors. It taught me about making decisions when there are no perfect choices. Back in part 1, I ended the video by saying, in my opinion, the true measurement of quality is how a piece of work can withstand the test of time. 5 years later, I still believe that's true. But today, I'd add one more thought. Don't wait for time to teach you that lesson personally if someone else's experience can teach it first. Borrow their experience. Borrow their hindsight. It might save you thousands of pesos, weeks of inconvenience, and a great deal of disappointment. So, after everything I've shared, was hiring a freelance automotive painter instead of a repair shop worth 30,000 pesos? For me, the answer is no. Not because every freelance painter produces poor work, and not because every repair shop automatically produces better work. My answer is no, because based on my own experience, I didn't have enough information to properly evaluate the person I was trusting with my car. That experience permanently changed the way I hire skilled tradespeople. And if sharing that lesson helps even one viewer make a better decision than I did, then finally, making this part 2 was worth the wait.